These 3 letters made me go from an invisible nerdy kid to an attractive young man who's notorious for banging 10 women about every 2 hours. Kidding about that last part. I have a very loving girlfriend. In my younger days, I was always the stereotypical nerdy, shy kid who stuttered when he talks, didn't talk to many girls. People around school didn't know me, and I hated it. I was not introverted by choice. Going into high school, I coped by playing video games and tickling my pony to nefarious content, as we tend to do, and this lifestyle led me to rock bottom. I was depressed, I had no hobbies, had no ambition, didn't apply myself to anything, and on top of that, I was pretty damn ugly. But one fateful day, an event would happen that completely changed the trajectory of my life. A girl I had been talking to said I was too skinny for her, and this led me down an anime villain arc where I heavily applied the 3 stages and 3 letters that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And these 3 letters stand for glow up, social skills, and hobby. So first, glow up. I personally don't care for the whole looks maxing culture of, mewing and joking so your wiener becomes a centimeter longer. But there is something in being attractive. Looking good feels good. So back in the day, I was very skinny. That was my most unattractive trait. So I did what any anime villain does, and I started going to the gym. I started bulking, and I built a pretty aesthetic physique within like 8 months. I put on about 25 pounds of muscle, and people started to notice. People started to treat me different simply because I started going to the gym. Nowadays, I'm up 40 pounds of muscle, and I look completely different. My physique is completely different. Little shameless plug here. If you want one-on-one aesthetic fitness coaching for an actually affordable price, there's a link in the description. But after I had gotten aesthetic, right, I was lean and I had some muscle. My body was what people considered attractive. That's not end all be all when it comes to glowing up. So my next focus was actually my hairstyle, because if you look at older pictures of me, I had what's known as a mop on my head. I'm no hairstyle expert, but my #1 advice for finding a hairstyle is just Google hairstyles and find some that you like and try it out. Also, learning how to take care of your hair is very important. I've had curly hair for most of my life, and I didn't even know up until like a few years ago because of how poorly I took care of my hair. So throw away that fucking Head and Shoulders and Old Spice and get some quality stuff, even if it's a little more expensive, because you're putting this on your body. You only got one body. I also started a dedicated skincare routine, and it's not some like Patrick Bateman complicated stuff like, oh, I put some fucking alcohol and flower poop on my face or something. No, I just use face wash and face moisturizer. That's really all you need. If you wash your face when you wake up, after you work out, and right before you go to sleep, you'll have less acne. Your skin will be way more clear. Your skin will glow so much more. I sound like a beauty fucking makeup YouTuber. Your skin will glow. But the final thing I focused on when it came to glowing up was how I dressed. And throughout my younger years, I never cared how I dressed. Like, I wore sweatpants, fucking sweatshirt, and that's whatever. A nice grout fit every once in a while doesn't hurt. But once I pimped up my style, when I learned how to dress and what I liked to wear, it is insane what that does, not only for your confidence, but just how people will talk to you. You could be one ugly person. No offense to ugly people out there, but you could be an ugly person, have acne everywhere, you don't lift, you don't do any of that, you have a terrible hairstyle. But if you got some pimp clothes on, people will notice. But having an aesthetic body, having, a nice haircut, having clear skin, and dressing nice, that's pretty much all you need to glow up. It is not a complicated process. There's all these tips and tricks with looks maxing, but if you focus on those core things, you will become significantly more attractive. But I gotta say this before I move on to the 2 other things that make you socially attractive. Do not become obsessed with your looks. I've seen a growing culture of obviously looks maxing and whatnot, people just being obsessed with how they look, constantly trying to look better, glow up. It's something you kind of do on the sly. It's not something you put your entire life's focus into. So just don't be vain. All right, next, social skills. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I was a shy, introverted little kid. I was so nervous to talk to people, even guys. Like, obviously with girls, I just couldn't talk to girls. Like, I would quite literally freeze up. I could not talk to girls. But even with guys, I would stutter, like worry about saying the right things. And the number one way I solved this was by none other than just talking to people. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive in a way, but you only will get better from experience with a thing like social skills. There's all these videos about, you know, this one social trick will get you an insane amount of poonie. Girls will be on their knees. But that's just not how it works. When you're in mid-conversation, you're not going to be remembering some psychological trick charisma on command told you to like make someone like lower their fucking eye contact with you and make you feel like a Sigma dominant man. You're not going to be thinking about that. What I did personally was during lunchtime in high school, I would go up to random people in the lunch line and just shoot the shit. Like talk about the most random stuff. Like I'd be like, hey, do you see that little spot on the floor? Or like, have you seen the Lego movie? That shit's fire. If you have a hard time starting conversations with people because you don't want to ask some basic small talk question like, you know, how's the weather? What are you doing today? Start saying weird stuff, like the most random stuff. Not only is it just easier to continue a conversation off something very weird and random, but it also will pique the person's interest. You know, they'll be like, huh, I've never heard anyone say anything like this to me before. But the final thing to improve in order to gain that social attractiveness is a hobby, specifically being good at something. If you think for a second and you think about people you know that have, you know, social charm, social attractiveness, all that sort of jargon, they're usually good at something. They usually have one skill they're very proficient at, or maybe a few. But you don't even have to be a master at a hobby or a skill for people to recognize that and, you know, look at you in a more socially attractive way. During high school, I wrestled kind of on and off. I was a bit of a bum when it came to wrestling. Like, I was not good. But senior year, I came back and I made the varsity team, and I still was not good. Like, I was pretty ass at wrestling, but people knew me as a wrestler. And that kind of like upped whatever, like the social status. Obviously, don't get into a hobby just because you want people to perceive you a certain way. That's stupid. That is so dumb. Only get into a hobby if you're actually interested in it. Like if you're actually committed to it, passionate about it. It really is as simple as the 3 things I just talked about in this video to become more socially attractive. But as always, I've got to say this because it's important to me. You know, it's kind of why I've created this channel, but before any of this, before you try to improve your social attractiveness, focus on your mental health first. Make sure you're mentally sound, mentally positive, you know, mentally strong before you worry about vanities like, you know, what people think of you or how people perceive you. To put it in looks-maxing terms, mental health mogs everything else. If you want to talk about self-improvement, mental health, social charisma, glowing up, fitness, anything, you can schedule a free one-on-one call with me in the description. Also, like mentioned earlier, I can coach you to be aesthetic through my one-on-one fitness program, 30 days, and it's actually affordable, unlike some YouTubers charging fucking $15,000 for like an hour call. Maybe if your name's Benny, I'll charge $15,000. I just don't like the name Benny, I'm sorry. If you want to join my Discord, Abreian's community, there's also a link in the description. A lot of like-minded individuals on there, pretty positive space. I also plan on running a chess tournament relatively soon, so if you're into chess, join the Discord. But on that note, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Stay hard. Stay hard. David Goggins.